consecutive placed under A number 1 in another place where it's applicable. Because as a former sub, if you are, did we start the meeting yet?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anyhow, as a former sub, there's many times that you can be working maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks even. But, that should not qualify you for another bump in pay necessarily. So if you did that more than that, though,
I agree.
if you did that more than that, then that's kind of up to the school district, because by then they'll probably hire you as a part-time teacher to replace that person that's on leave or whatever.
And the other thing that I've seen with subs is, and John and I did talk about the word consecutive, and I was in favor of it, because what happens is sometimes these long-term subs, when they're on 3 of these, maternity assignments or, your assignments, whatever, they take a day off and still expect to have this, that's a break. So you know what I mean? It should be consecutive, because they'll
What
take.
if they're sick?
Then they're sick. They can't have the day off.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I mean, then they lose, then they start off at 1 again?
Yep.
That's not to me, this isn't an incentive for them to sub here. If
But
it's
usually,
consecutive
John,
days.
usually a sub comes in for a day, 3 days, maybe 5, if you're lucky. But most of the time, you just come in to sub because of whatever. Now, granted, I know that it's probably difficult to get a sub, but I can't see paying a new teacher who maybe doesn't even have a job yet that kind of rate. It just doesn't make sense to me, because they had seasoned teachers that were subbing, and it was just kind of a lark for them. These guys, they want they want the whole world, and that to me isn't quite right either. But I'm not going to argue it now.
I do agree, because we are paying, if this tier works, which I agree with the tier, we're paying these subs more than we're paying a teacher coming in on
yeah.
BA1, BA1, or BA2.
That's right, and we shouldn't be doing that either. That's a different issue.
I mean, that's just my opinion. You guys can.
Now, wait,
Shut it up.
back up. Tier 1, I'm referring to,
Mhm.
that would be the regular pay, which is, what, $125?
But there's no benefits, right?
There are no
So you're
benefits.
just talking about cash
Yep.
payment done.
Yes,
By the time we'd add benefits and it
yeah,
probably wouldn't be getting paid as much.
they're not applicable to benefits.
But I mean, you're saying that they'd be getting paid more than a,
Cash to cash, they do, yes.
yeah, cash,
Salary to
cash.
salary, yes.
Okay.
And the reason I don't like it is the intent was to lure people in from other districts and get them here regularly. And it's a way for them, where right now they're signing on with what's that new one, the sub a day or whatever.
Yeah, it's on the computer.
Teachers on-
Wherever there's an opening.
Teacher on call, yeah.
They
You
sub.
do the first one. You get it.
What we want to do is discourage people for signing up for that, because what they do is sign a contract with them, and they're guaranteed X number of days. And so they're getting paid out. And we had this last year out there before they signed contracts. Little Falls would have lost a bunch of subs. We have trouble getting subs. And that was the reason we set up a tiered system the way we did with 120, 135, and then 150.
So if they sign this contract, does that mean they can't go outside of that contract? And
Sub someplace else.
I don't know a lot of,
wow,
I don't know a lot of subs around here that are doing that.
We got a
Honestly.
load of them up there at Little Falls, and they were talking about coming this way, consecutive.
I wonder if they do
I
that
mean,
part of the deal.
All of a sudden, one day we don't have a job, and then they're not consecutive. You're not going to get the subs. That's why it was set up that way.
Well, but it's not just about that though, John. It's about where you're asking them to sub. I mean, I subbed in classes with 250 music students in them. And then I subbed in kindergarten with 20 little darlings. I mean, it just depended on what you were offering as a sub. Me, I took everything because I'm kind of versatile and I like to do that. But there are a lot of people that don't care to. And many subs will come in, they'll have their little packet, they'll give it to the children will do whatever's in the packet, and life will go on. So it's not, sometimes not necessarily even teaching as far as I'm concerned. So if that's the case, then I think that we should be a little particular about the subs and not worry, you know, if they don't show up or not. Well, I've taken 2 classes at the same time as a sub in order to cover with somebody that, you know, there was flu or whatever in the building, you know.
Is it mandated by the state that the person that subs is a licensed teacher?
Yeah,
No, not necessarily. No, you can get that for $67 on the computer.
what you do is there are different tiers of subbing, different areas. If you have a BS or BA, you can get in as a sub. And you're basically a first level sub. And if you have an area, you have to be a second and get your license.
Well,
That would be
most
the
of those
next tier
people
up.
have like biology majors or whatever. They could sub, you know, in anything. They just had to have the BA or BS, that's it. You could
Yeah,
probably.
you can sub.
No, I'm serious. You have to go to the state, ask for the licensure. There's really no testing to it or anything. You
I
just
have
do it.
I have a major in BS and I fell in it yesterday.
Ha, ha, ha.
Did you get it on your shoes?
No, I think I broke my wrist.
Okay. That's what.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's.
Well, what are you doing?
well,
Wrap it.
Yeah, I had it wrapped, but now it doesn't.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, just it feels good like this. So.
No,
When
what
you're
were you?
falling, take the hit. Don't try and stop it.
I was chasing a steer and he juked me and I threw the brakes on and went to go the other way and my feet just went.
Flying.
You put your hand out to stop the ball.
Mhm.
You were gonna say something else?
Yeah, the item B1. It's still got the entering into a contract to fill a vacancy at a negotiated rate. And then the board will be notified prior to approval. So does that mean the board approves it or just notify the board?
Notify the board.
So you're making a deal, a contract.
Actually, you have the paper of what that is. It's here.
Should be right here.
That's that sheet.
Yeah.
That's your deal.
Letter of understanding.
Yeah, that's what it really is, letter of understanding.
That's for all long-term subs.
So say we'll give you $500,000, this is just theoretical. Give you $500,000 for 2 weeks of work and then notify the board and then it's a done deal.
This is a long-term sub, minimum of 30 days before we call it a long-term sub.
Okay, so $500,000 for 31 days.
Yeah. So then what you do is you negotiate if you can't find that area. They're unique, like physics, chemistry, something like that. Special ed is a great example, tech.
I did that a lot.
And then you work out a rate which will bring them
Generally, it's dependent. Should be dependent on if they worked in that parameter before. If you're
Yeah.
doing a long-term subbing for, like he said, special ed. If they've never worked it, it's gonna be.
No,
a big
then you
deal.
don't.
You know, I mean, if like, say Randy Till just got sick, this is a very specialized, it'd be hard to find, that's when that would come in, but I think isn't there a policy, and I don't know if this refers to subs, anything over a step 4 has to go to the board for approval anyway, and I know that's on teachers, I'm assuming that would fall into the subcategory.
Yeah, although it's a matter of, if you know ahead of time, you're okay. The problem is if you don't know ahead of time, you're gonna wait till the next board meeting.
Well, no, it's really that is a principal superintendent call, and then you bring that to the board with the reasons
I
why.
think what Nola's saying is that it's not gonna need board approval. I mean,
Mhm.
that sentence probably should be changed. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
Well-
either you gotta follow the policy or you gotta change the policy.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, what he said the other night when we discussed that at the board meeting is, let's say it's a friend of mine, you know, and I just want to stuff his pocket.
yeah, I
Oh,
hope-
well, yeah, I didn't
I'd
think
hope
of
any
that.
board would be able to find that.
And I think this just follow the other policy. Anything over step 4 has to go to the board for approval anyway. The speech teacher, not speech, the
Special
business teacher.
education.
that
Yeah,
way-
I'm thinking day-to-day, it would be fine, but if, as a policy, it has to be bulletproof as far as, you don't set up something with holes in it so that down the road, something can happen and then there's a scandal conspiracy thing, like 10 years from now.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. This is a copy of exactly what Holding Court has,
Mhm.
just to let you know.
But again, I think that the consecutive 30 days does give you more protection than if you just say 30 days, because it could be a week here and 2 weeks later, maybe a week there and da, da, da.
No, this is long-term sub we're talking about, Part B,
Yeah, I know.
which means
I
they're
know that, but-
contracted consecutive.
Right. But that's
So,
after.
Can I
30
ask
days
what
of
happens with a long-term sub? I mean, if you hire a long-term sub, let's say somebody's took a leave of absence, that's happened, or whatever, for the rest of the year, and in December, mom gets sick and they wanna go home, take care of her or whatever. So we give her the leave of absence, and we bring a long-term sub in. What happens with that long-term sub with the day that they're sick? Are they protected under, where they can take a day off and be sick, or what happens?
They don't get paid.
They just don't get paid.
That's why we're going to this. Right now, what was happening before, and Dawn's the one that brought it to attention, because the policy was you put them on a regular contract. The only trouble is, as soon as you put them on a regular contract, it gives them all the rights of a regular teacher,
And they're not.
and they're
Right,
not.
no.
They're a substitute.
We have actual situations, and I said this has to change.
Yep.
And I probably didn't say
So
it that nice either.
insurance,
All benefits.
union
All
dues?
benefits, see, that's not right either.
That's been going on, John, we
Since
say
the
since the
beginning of
beginning of time. And I'm like, it just gave the principals all discretion to hire them at
So if they came back next year and wanted their job back, you'd almost have to give them one, right?
they're probationary for that first year.
Okay.
Anybody who comes into a district
They still have.
under
their
those
tenure.
terms, which it shouldn't have been.
Yep.
But they are considered probationary, that to be tenured, as if you've been in a different district, you have to work 1 year and 1 day to be considered tenured. But if Joel has 2 and Bill had 1 or 2?
Go ahead, one.
1. There are probationary teachers that have been on contract with full benefits and when they should have been long-term subs. Hence, this policy.
And that's why we changed to this.
Are they happy about it? Probably.
Probably not, but if you're a sub, you also know, and most of them have been experienced retired teachers.
Well,
or-
this really became an issue. When one of them was brought on, I argued the step in the lane because it was a long-term sub, and I didn't win the argument. But when we negotiated, this individual wanted back pay and go up in the steps, and I'm like, no, you're a long-term sub. Well, I didn't have any recourse because now this person was part of the union, was on on the salary schedule. It was like, oh my.
So what happens with past practice on this?
That's why we do a policy. Policy supersedes past practice.
That's why we need a policy and a strong one, like Noel said, yeah.
You know that one? Oh.
Past practice would not apply to long-term sub.
Well, because they wouldn't be in the union
They
yet.
don't follow
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
but
not following-
one that served out the rest of this year and was treated that way, you're gonna have an issue with.
Absolutely. We
this,
have to
but that
stay with
person was hired.
Okay, but I mean,
That's why not why the person was hired, because I believe this teacher was a good teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't hire somebody just because you were a long-term sub last year.
If in doubt, you leave them
well,
out.
it is a good test drive. A long-term sub would be a good test
And
drive,
it
you know,
used
you
to be.
can
yeah,
try
it
it
used
before
to
you
be.
buy it, but,
Yeah, so there is no past practice that applies here, okay?
Yeah, and on the actual letter of understanding down at the bottom, it's effective only upon signature by the school board and formal resolution by the school board, duly recorded in its minutes. So that gives the school board its chance to have it.
Yes,
too.
I think, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here, so you guys tell me if this is dumb or not. But shouldn't it, when it comes to the school board, should it say on this form who it's coming recommended by? Which principal or
I
is
just
that just a
didn't-
meeting issue?
Well, that's a meeting, that usually came at a meeting, Randy, not to interrupt, but they would say, with the recommendation of superintendent, principals, and board, you know, and that would be, or whoever was recommended.
Yeah, I just- The principals do all the hiring in their building, right?
Yes,
Yes,
For
they
the,
do.
for the professionals. I mean,
correct. Now they'll present them to me and sometimes I will say no. We had a recent situation like that and I said no.
So it's just a second check
Yeah,
and
they
balance.
present it to me.
So everything that comes to the board has been approved by you then too? When it's a board
Yes.
decision, has been approved by you?
Yes,
Yeah. The only sticky thing would be you have board members in a position looking at it, thinking, wow, that's like twice as much. You know. And then it's already kind of a done deal at that point.
At that point, it's
Well,
gonna
we
really
already
throw
told
a
them they're hired, and they
sticky
can't
wicket.
find anybody else. You know, and the board members may end up feeling like, well, I'm being pushed into this, even though I'm not really comfortable with it.
Well, the only thing is this thing, I mean, they gotta get a teacher's signature on it and, I mean, right below that, they see they need the board signature to have it. So, I mean, they should be able to.
I guess the board really, really was against it. They could, you know, just say,
it'll be advertised,
It's happened.
long-term subs get advertised for 2 weeks. And that's where you would know. If you got, there's some situations where we've had over 50 people apply for a job.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you can't find somebody at a low rate for that, on the other hand, like they said, a special one like special ed, tech ed, something like that, it's a whole different deal. You might only have one. And that's a fair question by the board too. Then the question is, do you want a sub coming in every day for that class like you had, if it's an emergency situation? Or you want to hire somebody? And that's what this whole thing.
So are the requirements for a long-term sub different than a daily sub?
Yes,
A long-term sub makes lesson plan and,
a long-term sub, yes, it's part of the lesson plan, it's part of the process, and has to be licensed in the parameter.
I'd rather
that
do a
teacher-
daily sub, that sounds easier.
You have to be licensed or in the parameter that you're.
Oh, so you can't have a biology degree and teach
You can't have a
teach
Minnesota
math. Well,
licensure
that's
in-
probably-
in English and then long-term sub and math.
Okay,
You have to
there,
be
that's better.
licensed in.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
example.
a lot better than what I had.
Here we go. If you can't find one, there's an exception to that. Then we go to Pellsby. And is that right, Pellsby?
Yes,
And we request that. That's what happened this past year with special ed at the elementary. We had to take elementary position and there was not one applicant. She get paid at a regular BS level all year long. Done a great job with it for what
Yeah,
she
you
had.
don't have to have a teacher's degree to be a teacher in Minnesota.
yes.
To be a regular teacher, you have to.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be in a classroom
Northern
daily.
Minnesota, there's a lot of them that aren't.
That's when you write the exception to
Yep.
it. I would, and I'm pushing to get like not special ed, tech ed teachers and go to you go to tech college and have somebody that knows welding inside out, backwards, can teach wonderfully, and they can work at the tech, but they can't work here with kids. And
Well, even robotics and things like that.
Oh,
are
yeah.
Done in tech, and they do remarkable things in the church.
And we're trying to get that because there's only one tech school left, St.
I
Cloud.
think so.
That's the only one that'll get one, and they don't accept the training out of Wisconsin from 2 schools, Platteville and
You
Stout.
used to come in as a community expert as long as you were going to get into program, get your licensure, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know the
As
tiered
long as you were
system.
making steps towards that.
Yeah,
Pursuing a degree.
that tiered system has changed that dynamic a little.
Yeah,
All right, I wanna go back up to the top now, cause I wasn't,
The top of the policy.
yeah, under A, and Mary's asking for consecutive to be in there. After completing 30 consecutive days and 60 consecutive days. What is the intent of the policy? Is the intent of the policy for it to be consecutive? Because that's a big difference.
Not on daily,
No, not.
not on daily, because they're onesie twosies.
Okay.
Mary's, I believe, if I understand you right, like, I'm thinking is addressing the long-term sub, letter B.
no, part A, what we set up as a school board, if you remember, we did away with hiring 2 subs. They are always short of subs. There was a reason for it. It
So
was
we're
to
paying
be
enough.
able to make sure that we get more people coming in to be subs. So the idea was, if you're gonna sub for us, you keep subbing for us, we're gonna reward you with a little more money after you've worked for 30 days, after you've worked for 60 days. That was the intent. That's what we passed a year and a half ago.
So, okay, so I'm just trying to get what the intent is. I think that's what the intent is to be a reward. But so Joel and Phil, they have what, 1, 2, 3 subs in every day?
Usually,
At least.
So do they ever like grade their subs like this one's better than this one? Or, I mean,
I-
they ever ask their teachers, hey, how do you feel your sub did for you yesterday? And then they'd have ones that they preferred over ones that they
I
don't.
can tell you right now, there have been some subs that we will not hire. That's all I can say to you. And definitely a teacher, many times requests, I know when I taught, there were some subs I would not allow in to use the same system that we have here. I said, no, I don't want this person in, this person in, this one I want. And if you can, if you know you're gonna be gone, a lot of times teachers check out and make sure that that person is their sub, because they have ones that follow their lessons really well.
Another big part of it is, will they answer when you call
We're on an automated through ASOP, that's why,
The principals don't have any idea who's in their building every day.
right,
them? So it's a deal between a teacher that's gonna
Computer.
miss some time and a sub principal finds out afterwards.
what happens is we have a automated calling system, sub-calling system, it's called ASOP. So when a teacher puts in for time off, it automatically goes out to all of the eligible subs that are signed up for Royalton schools, that they'll either get an email, a text, and then they can either approve it or deny it if they want to sub or not. But what happens is most of the teachers, I believe here, have their favorites, so they call them and have them already take that position, and it goes into ASOP, but is already filled.
And then that usually works through the building, through not the district office, the principal's office. That's how they know about who's coming in. The ASOP ones are the ones they don't know who's subbing.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any one day that either Phil or Joel knows who's in their building on
Totally, yeah.
a one given day.
But they should, sorry, but they should.
Well, so that's where, I would guess in years, and before that, ASOP was around, I would guess the
Secretary
secretary
would call.
did a lot of that stuff and
Or you'd
who was
call
in
it
the
the
building and, there's no doubt about it, the secretaries always have the back of their principal, and, if they felt like the hair on their back was standing up, they'd tell them, and now computer's doing that, so, I don't know.
I do agree with John. There are teachers, or sub teachers that have requested to sub that Joel and or Phil have refused. After one time being in the building, I mean, 1 or 2 times being in the building, if something has happened, they're off our sub list. They don't even get our calls anymore.
Well, maybe the school's got that reputation then now too, of not being a good place to sub,
I
because
have
believe
no
me,
idea.
there is a whole counterculture here that
Oh,
you're not.
yeah.
But, I mean, no, they'll say, don't sub in Royalton because the kids are disruptive or whatever. I mean,
Or,
I've heard some really bad stories, so
or
whatever.
it will be a specific teacher, you know, like that
Correct.
class.
That
Whose
right.
class is it? You know, when they're at, I'm dead serious, that happens. You know, there's some teachers, I don't know about here,
Well-
but there's some teachers know several.
It'd probably easy to say, well, 5th grade. You know, there were shits at it last year as 4th graders, there's still shits this year, you know?
Could be. Yeah, no, it could be, you know,
Well, 5th grade this year is full of them, so my boy's one of them, so.
they're not shits, they're just challenging.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else on this policy that we need to catch out?
I don't think so.
Where are you guys with consecutive? To me, it goes against why we set it up. That's, you guys do what you want. It said before, it's up to you.
And again, I feel much more comfortable if that 30 days was consecutive, just because, okay, you know they're gonna be there, they're gonna show up, they're gonna be part of
Well, what
the
if there's not a,
team.
what if there's not a job in the,
Yeah, I'm thinking you're confusing daily subs with long-term subs. And,
Well, most teachers start out as daily subs. They don't start out usually as long-term.
I mean, as, when they are a daily sub, and you need them for a day, and you have them for a day. And if that happens 30 times in a year, then yeah, they should, you know, they're working out, they're answering the call, they're coming in, they're doing it. If they do that 30 times, then we should reward that.
it's pretty much once a week.
We
Yeah.
have at least 2 subs that last year surpassed the 45-day.
Yeah.
I mean, so this sub made more,
But that's a daily.
And
sub.
obviously, they're quality subs or we wouldn't have them in that many days.
I know, it has a contract. Usually
Yeah.
they are given a contract,
Right.
but a daily sub is not.
Right,
And that's what I say, if you're going to be there, I mean, usually, like, your example was if somebody got sick and then, or take care of mom or whatever, and that became a long-term, maybe it was only gonna be for a week or two, but it became long-term, all right? Then they're offered that contract, because you know it's gonna be long-term, it's gonna be over the
Well,
30 days.
we shouldn't call it a contract, we should call it a letter of understanding.
Yeah.
Well, okay, letter of understanding, whatever, it's still, you know, I mean, I can understand that, but to me, if you just, okay, I subbed every day of the year, all right, every day I had a job, every day. I did not get more pay because of that, I did not, now that's not saying that they shouldn't have, but it's just saying that it still wasn't, you know, I was everywhere, I wasn't just in IT, or I just wasn't here, or that, I was everywhere. Now, you don't find subs like that anymore. I spoke to a former superintendent, his name is Kerry Jacobson, and he told me, he said, Mary, you were a super sub. I called you, you went. That was it. They don't make those anymore, he said. People don't do that.
Well, I'm okay not putting the word consecutive in there after. I was okay with that at first, but then the more I read it, I think that the intent of the policy is to reward somebody to come back within the district for multiple times. That's,
Yeah, and it's a daily sub, so.
Yeah.
If you make it consecutive for 30 days, then they're not really a daily.
So then I can work maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks at a time without, you know, and then I'll qualify for that much more pay, you know, after that period.
Well, what if-
30 days,
yeah,
whatever, it'd be
but
6 weeks.
what if you're an elementary substitute teacher and they don't need a, you know, it's Wednesday in the middle of January and they don't need a sub.
Mhm.
So then it's your fault that you didn't go to work as a sub?
No, that's what the word substitute means, is that you're in for someone else. You're not doing the lesson plans, you're not doing all of that. However, I had lesson plans left for me that just said, do what you do the best.
Well, when I read the policy, it seems to
And
me
that's like handing you a helicopter key and said, go for it, have fun.
the purpose of the policy is to reward a quality sub for being here multiple times. That's the way, you know, because there's probably, if you can't get a quality one, you're gonna get I mean, I got a pretty sweet ride, but I got a farm truck that could drive to work too, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing about, if you're looking for a daily sub, And you want to incentivize them to come in for a daily sub, then they keep doing it after 30 times and give them a raise. That's fine. That incentivizes them. If we put consecutive, we just took away the incentive because the daily sub is gonna rarely get 30 days in a row, you know, as a daily sub. If somebody who's going on maternity leave, then they're gonna fall under.
Well,
the
there'd be a
long-term
long-term sub anyhow.
So you just, by putting consecutive in there, you could run somebody up to 29 days and then say we don't need it today and then start over,
Yeah, that wouldn't be right.
you know? You just took away their incentive to do what you need them to do.
I can only share with you what I know. It's up to you to decide.
Well, it's up to you too.
Yeah.
I would say that let's just leave it for now and let's voice it to the full board that the policy committee is split on it. And then we'll have a full board discussion on it. That would move us forward. John?
Yeah, and we're back to 431, where I just want to point this out. If you remember, we had a super sub custodian that came and talked to the whole board. And he said, you know, I would love, you know, I worked, I forget how many days the year before, and he got nothing extra out of it. And that's why we wrote this up, but clearly I can put it into their not their contract, their, what I want to say.
Agreement.
Their agreement for that, and that's why that one's in there the same way. If you got somebody that answers the call consistently for you, you want to reward. If you change it, then you want to change this too.
Does everybody understand the difference between classified and,
Yes, I do.
okay,
This is custodians and lunch ladies and
Right,
Whereas
yeah.
anybody that doesn't have a teacher's license.
so we should have one of these for 431 also.
We very rarely have a long-term sub in our class.
Custodial.
Did we ever?
We haven't, no.
Okay. If we ever do,
Well,
we
part
should
of it
have a
is
paper that looks like this.
They don't follow,
for
they
them.
don't fit the criteria.
Yeah,
They don't fit FMLA, they're part-time. Yeah, you're right, it's custodial, might, because we've had some surgeries. So they may fit, they would be the only one that would fit. So, yeah,
so you think we should have a policy like this then?
Well,
Not
letter
that
Or
says
part of
PA.
the letter of the understanding?
No, it shouldn't say that, but I mean,
it should say what the policy says, that you'll move up to a BA2 or.
yeah, by being specific and having it in writing, you are preventing misunderstanding between your substitute custodian. and-
Right. I will say,
Perfect.
it's never happened in this district, not to say
It won't.
it
Yeah.
won't.
that is the purpose of policy though, is to
And it never, and
to
I,
try to keep it from happening.
You need it as broad though as you possibly can without limiting this much, you know, I mean. I
Classified-
understand, I can even concede if you don't want the 30-day consecutive, but there is a payment for that.
Well,
It
it's-
costs us more.
it's under there.
eventually.
we would never hire an hourly employee as a long-term. Now that I'm thinking about how
Yeah, I don't know how
the
that
union
works.
piece of it and the legal verbiage, I think that's something we should talk to our legal counsel before we do that. Because I've never, ever been in a district where there's been a long-term sub in a para custodian. I mean, not that it can't happen, it's just I've never seen it, so maybe we should get some direction on it.
That's fine with me. That's what you'd like.
The other thing
That's up to the
is,
board.
That's what I'm saying to them, not you.
I just think, I mean, as far as, I'll always argue for the lower on the pay scale people, that they should be treated the same as the ones that are higher on it. I just, if it's never gonna happen, that's one thing. What would we do? We just hire somebody else? Is that what we would normally just do? What happens if we had a custodian that's, has knee surgery and is gonna be out for 6 weeks? We just hire somebody else, or do we just get by
Because they're
without them?
hourly, I just hire them as an hourly as a sub, not a long-term sub, it's an hourly sub.
Okay,
That's the way it's always, That's why it's always been.
And that's because they don't hold a licensure and their contract is completely different than it is with the
Yeah.
teachers. So,
Until you get to bus drivers.
until you get the bus drivers, yeah. I know, but that's another can of worms. Personally, I feel that we should present to the board that we are unanimous on your decision. I still feel consecutive is a good word, but if it isn't going to be, I think that we need to start bringing things to the board and say, this is what we've decided as a group, because I really, really want to say that, okay, I said what I said, that's fine, it's not an
No.
agreement, I'll still be,
No.
I'll agree with what you've chosen.
You can do that at the board level, though. I mean, there
Yeah, but-
may be 3 other board members that
Right.
agree with you, Mary.
Yeah, but the major complaint I get, Randy, is we don't get anything done. And, you know, when do you guys get anything done? And I said, I think my fault because I pick at things and I should just shut up. So
No?
I feel that way, Randy. I would rather present this united to the board than sit back and bicker over the word consecutive.
I
To tell
think
you the truth. All
the
right.
truth is that the policy committee, this is the work of the board. That other stuff that we do, that's the work that we do in the boardroom is the short-sightedness of the policy committee years past. If the policies were tight, we wouldn't have any work. So this is the work of the board to me. That's the way I feel. This is the work of the board, setting the policy and making sure that it's airtight. That's our job. And when you have if there's 3 other opinions in the board, that's what we take it back to the board for, that we've hashed this stuff out and what do they think? I think it's good to go back to them.
I agree with you. However, I think we need to keep trying to press forward with things in the meetings and even in policy meetings.
Well-
That's why I say, I'm only one voice.
In
And
that,
I will, whatever, capitulate to whatever, but I would rather present it as a united unit. So that the board knows, yes, this is how we feel.
That's not gonna always be possible, because
Yeah.
everybody can have an opinion.
That's true, and I voiced it here, and you guys gave me an answer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
fine.
if you wanna voice it at the board meeting, go ahead, it's your opinion.
But I
You have
hate to
every right
beleaguer
to.
this stuff, no. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't, quite, the thing I get is like, Mary, why don't you ever decide anything? Why does it go from meeting to meeting to meeting? I said, I don't know either. I mean, I said, part of it is my fault, mea culpa.
tell them they should run for the board and find out.
Well, I have said that, actually. Please run for the board, yeah.
Okay, 4:31. Are we
I
done
just want to
beating
make
hours?
sure that we're on the same page. So the only change I'll make is where it said contract, letter of understanding, correct?
Yeah,
And
that,
then
that
let-
makes it less of a.
And then the letter of understanding is okay the way it is. So I'll have that ready to go.
And everybody's okay with 4:31 as it stands?
You want to bring it in as a policy.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Is that the third reading?
No, it'll be the first. All these will be the first. Because I went through everything last time.
We read these.
Don't do that, don't withdraw stuff. It's either the first, second, or third. That's a reason why we don't get things done. If we've hashed it out several times and we withdraw it, then we're starting over at the first reading.
We read these at last meeting, didn't we?
That's what I thought too, but.
There was a first reading at the last meeting.
Yeah. So this will be second reading,
Okay,
not tonight, but
with adjustments next week,
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
Okay, so those 2 are done. All right.
all right. I see the next thing here is fitness center.
Yep, and that's where there was a lot of discussion on this. And this is just the fee, which doesn't have to have 3 readings or anything else. We make a major change, and that was part of our policy, that we relook at fees every year.
Okay, I didn't want to say this, and maybe I did say it. Are we gonna have to refund people for this?
For
Well,
the time we've missed,
yeah.
what we said we would do is when we reopen, that's the new start date. So let's say it reopens on July 1st, and they miss 3 months, then the new start date is July, August, September. October 1st is the new start date. And then we go from there. Either that or we prorate when they sign up, always make it July 1st. So the questions come back down to, the question everyone had on it was the residents at $10 and the non-resident at $25. Question came up on fobs from somebody else outside, which I don't see a problem with that. All we did was kind of follow a model out of Painesville. And I think there was some questions that you wanted to raise the non-resident per month fee to greater.
Well, last time the committee met, we walked out of here unanimous at 300 for non-residents and 120 for residents.
I agree, but then at the board meeting, there was controversy. That's why we ended up not accepting this.
From board members?
Yes, there was quite a discussion on it at the last meeting.
I had thought about it some, and I'm okay with this fee structure, but I had to express that I didn't really care. I'm not gonna use it, so.
You're paying your taxes, Randy.
Okay, Randy.
I think you already did your weightlifting this morning and yesterday.
I'm good, so.
So leave it as is.
I'm fine with it.
Me too.
I am
Okay.
too, and did Ted approve this too?
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
came from
This is
him.
what he
Yeah,
came up with. right?
Yeah, that's fine. So we'll
Paid
leave
somebody
this.
to come up with it, so.
So I have nothing else then, if that's it.
And did you put in there no exceptions? Or you under the understanding that there's no exceptions to that?
I go back to what the lawyer said, because that is a problem. And that is, one of my jobs is to make sure that we don't have things put against us and cost us more money. So I asked him where he was with it. You read the letter, I gave it
I
to you.
didn't read it.
I gave it to you at the last board meeting.
No.
We got-
No, you
No,
only
you
give it to Randy.
Yeah.
It's in my car.
You only gave it to Randy.
Do you have a copy of that? No, you're incorrect. I gave you at the last time we met, at my evaluation, I gave you pieces of paper of whatever the number is, 430, 431. And then I also gave you what came from the attorney.
I read it, and it said something of the fact of past practice.
And the reason I gave it to Randy only, it's lawyer-client privilege, and it shouldn't have been brought up at the general meeting.
Oh, I shouldn't have brought it up.
No,
It's okay.
Yeah,
We live and learn, Randy.
that's how you learn.
So that explains your reaction when I said that then.
And the intent was, show them what it looks
Get
like, please,
another one.
Mary.
You got it, I got it.
You know, I think we wait.
This was the lawyers.
Yeah, this has happened before. Where we get a threat that there's gonna be some sort of grievance or arbitration or something. And the board has folded its cards.
You're referring to the principals meeting with, principals contract,
Yeah,
where you wanted to bicker over $1,000 or pay over $20,000. So the board's vote was
Actually,
5-4.
14. But, yeah, it's sort of like a motivation by fear type thing, where there's some unknown amount that it's gonna cost you if you don't do what you say and give us the money. And, yeah, this is, Don just told us that policy overrides past practice.
And that's incorrect. You can't make a policy that overrides the current contract.
If it's because subs don't follow a contract,
Yeah.
What
That's what she was
contract are we
referring
talking about?
The current contract they're under, that's why the lawyer recommends that you wait until the next contract comes up and then we put it in.
And I was correct because subs don't follow a contract. That's why I was correct.
That's what she
So
said.
don't say I
So-
wasn't incorrect.
I read the contract, but it didn't say anything about getting free membership to the fitness.
And if you read that, he will explain to you.
He'll explain it to you, just give yourself a few minutes to read it.
Yep.
And then, and then you'll understand what they're trying to say. See,
Just
that's-
so I
that-
can
that
clear
is
it up,
part of the
policy-
confusion. Yeah,
Policy does supersede if they don't follow a contract. Subs
So-
don't follow a bargaining
Correct.
agreement.
That's right.
That is what my intent was. We were talking about substitutes.
So,
No, that's right. Then you gotta keep the,
I
because
guess
they
I
don't
gotta be a
have,
lot more-
because substitutes don't have,
we don't
They
have a
don't have
contract
a-
if we're a sub.
they follow policy, not contract.
Correct.
Correct.
That's right.
That's where she's
That's where
100%
she's-
correct.
That's right.
So we'd be
And that's
better
the
off with no
difference.
unions in the building.
Well,
That'll never happen.
The other thing though too, John, just for your information, is Berlin had certain people that were subs and in the sub group,
Yeah.
if you stepped on their toes, God help you.
Oh,
So,
and you're-
I mean,
and
so
you're
that's why Royalton has a hard time finding subs too. They got a terrible reputation.
But right now, the world.
I
is
didn't even
fine.
want to sub here. How's that? Sorry. So, there's a couple schools in the district that don't. If you're sane, if you're still sane, you don't sub there. I mean, I had one gal subbed out here. She duct taped a child to a chair because she couldn't manage him. Needless to say, she lost her teaching license, which she should have. However, the fact that she was even in a building, I couldn't believe it, because we kind of all knew that she was not stable, right? And here she is duct taping out here. And then, by the way, it was a fifth grader, Randy, but, because they're hormonal. They start getting a little crazy, and you just can't do that kind of thing. She had no classroom control whatsoever. Well,
So Randy, did you get that paid? When you were in fifth grade?
I got duct taped to the ceiling when I was in 7th grade in the senior hallway.
really? I mean, that, okay,
Okay, I've read this
okay.
and, because of the attorney-client privilege, I can't really talk about it, can I?
Well, it's kind of out there already,
Out where?
out in the public, because it was discussed at the last regular board meeting.
Well, the existence of it was discussed, but the particulars weren't.
That's true.
Okay, this does not clearly say you're gonna lose. It doesn't say that it qualifies as past practice.
That's correct.
So,
Under his advisement. If you're gonna ignore the lawyer, that's up to you guys. I said that the other night.
yeah, I'm gonna do the right thing. You guys each get a vote
Yeah,
that's
that's,
valuable as mine, but I'm gonna do the right thing for the taxpayer who is paying for it and lives in the district and either uses it or not. It's not a requirement that anyone can use it. If they want to, they can.
See, my question, Noel, is take me back to when these things were all an issue and we were doing the referendum, right? And people got the impression that that whole facility was a freebie to all taxpayers. Now, that's the impression. I mean, I wasn't here, I don't know. I was just out in John Q. Public. Then, when it came to fruition, there was no plan to build in for repair costs, or maintenance costs, or that type of thing. So now here we sit going, okay, we have to pay for this somehow. Those agreements that were made were all kind of verbal. I don't know that anything was put in writing anywhere. And if it's not written down, it didn't happen. I mean, that's in my world anyhow. If I don't write down something on the farm, which is our business, then it doesn't happen. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean,
I've come full around on this issue though, because we don't charge anything for baseball field usage. We don't charge anything for, a lot of that stuff, even non-community ed, we don't charge anything for the gyms when they're in there with JO. So what's the difference of that or somebody from the public coming in and using the machine? I don't, yeah, it's hard on the budget, but I'm to the point that I just, whatever. if it gets bad enough, the machines will sit there broken down. You know, and maybe having a machine in there that's broke down and you can't afford to fix it, will spur some kind of
Fundraisers or something.
donation coming in from the outside, you know, I don't know, you know.
Do you know what happens with that? Whoever the FIAD teachers are, they don't go to their or their supervisor. They just call in the people that fix the machines, have them fixed, and then we sit with the bill.
I thought we fixed all that when you couldn't do POs or whatever.
Oh, we have for the most part. There are still some violators.
We just need to get on.
Then we send a letter to the person that does it, so do not come in here.
It has to come from
Unless we get a meeting.
administration, that's.
Yeah, that's
You're
just
talking-
an accountability thing. As
Yeah.
far as the taxpayers paying for non-district members to have free membership, I don't want, I'm not gonna support that.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, I just feel that taxpayers are already, they feel they're paying for it already, all right? And the school, they do. I don't know though that if I had a function, I guess I would expect to pay something. You know, if I rent out the Bolus Community Center, I gotta pay something. And my taxes help build that too. But I have no problem with doing that because it's a special function. It's a certain, you know, say I have a baseball tournament. I would expect to pay something. You know, I mean, to me that, I don't know why that didn't happen or wasn't. That P card business that I had asked about because I didn't realize that it got to be such a big problem. The intent was good, again, like Noel says, the intent is usually always good, it's just that people muck it up, and that's too bad.
Yeah, also, on this policy, it does mention all fields and gym access.
Yes,
Mhm.
And fees for all that.
so,
You know, and you gotta pay for upkeep or else you're gonna have.
Well, that's right, I agree.
You have a broken down dump that nobody, you're not really benefiting the public.
And you're not benefiting the students
But
either.
the
in that.
people who use it should be the ones who pay to maintain it.
what we're talking about is, I don't know how many people, probably 5 to 10 people that are in the building that have a fob that aren't, you know, they're employees, so they have a fob, so how are you going to regulate it?
If it's the policy, then that's the policy. If they're gonna be, criminal about it. and
Then there's
use
nothing we can do
for
about it?
free, then make them accountable, yeah. Say, hey, you need to pay to maintain this place. You're not getting it for free and everyone else paying for you.
See, that's what the public kind of has a consensus of out there now, is that, well, I don't even use it, why are my tax dollars going to that? I said, because it's part of the educational system too. And we have to remember that our students do benefit, you know, so that's a good thing, it's not a bad thing. But if you're not paying for it in any way, shape, or form, then if you want to use those facilities, you pay for them. It's just like going to Anytime Fitness or someplace else. I mean, why should a school be any different as far as their maintenance and that type of thing? Now, who's going to police it? Don't ask me, I don't know.
I don't see a practical way to.
Well, if
enforce it.
it's, okay, like I know if I go to Bill's, I don't walk into Bill's and take a Coke and walk out with
No, I know, but
it, because that's the rule, you have to pay for it, right?
But if you work at Bill's, do you have a cup that you fill out of the fountain pop and that's okay?
No, that's not ethical.
that's
Not
stealing, yeah.
ethical behavior, that's pilfering.
I've never-
And so if we have the policy of, you live in the district, you pay this, you don't live in the district, you pay this. If they go in and pilfer it, then that's an ethical problem.
And that probably is happening
And
now, you know, I
That's
mean,
not
I
the
don't
kind of people that we have working here. For
Hmm,
the most
I would
part.
agree with that.
You know, if that's the rule, that's the rule, they're gonna do it.
I agree. I mean, I think people are genuinely trying to be honest.
And I don't, you know, all of this is supposition that they're even gonna agree it.
Mhm.
That's just, what if they agree
Well,
it, what if this,
How many
what
of
if
them are
that?
actually using it though, John? It's not that high a percentage, is it?
Yeah, not all of them. There are times that people come in and use it here and there. there are times that they open it up for a kid or a couple of kids that wanna come in and use it, you know, do you count those too?
Well, again, no, I used Fayette facilities as a reward for behaviors for special needs kids, actually. And that, that's certainly being used,
Yeah,
and the
that's
intent is supposed to be used.
different than
Right, that's
coming
fine.
in and working out on the machines with wear and tear.
I understand that, but what I'm saying with the fob,
Any
it's
adults
just that
in here?
you gotta remember you have those things. We're, I can draw limits for it, sort of.
Well,
What the
anything to
lawyer
do with
says is it
education.
could be
You're not
briefed.
on there because you're gonna go and choose.
That's fine. I'm not afraid.
You're in there because you're a responsible adult.
Some people might,
I
You know how
know.
many of these kids don't have a responsible adult
I
that they see
just
ever,
look at it as,
especially
this
right
person
now.
wants something for nothing, and
It's
they can
crisis
read
right
it
now.
if they want to, fine.
We're just on this,
And, but at least I can go to bed at night and know that I didn't compromise my integrity and allow this to happen.
I don't have, like I told you, my job is to present what's up. It's up to you guys to decide.
Yeah, and we
What
need
you
to
gonna do?
decide too, because this is what, I don't even know how many
Why?
this one had. We
Well,
need
then-
to put this one to bed.
Absolutely.
Well, this doesn't need reading, because all we're doing is adjusting that.
And then it takes like.
So you don't want to do anything with the rest of this, the red stuff on it?
No, that is something we're working on, that both Tony and Ted have worked on, and right now, what I've asked Ted to do is to put down some policies
Mhm.
that he would like for you
You know, the bad ones.
to do in the same way with Tony, so they're working out books
I agree.
for the different things. And again, a huge part of that is regulating those gyms and getting those under control. Thus, that's why the presentation the other night of approximately over 30 grand to do that, put fobs on and only have a very limited number of keys that we can regulate who uses the gymnasium.
I think we ought to put our fee schedule on the agenda for the next meeting. And put that one to bed.
I've already got it on there.
Been
So.
miring this problem for a long time.
That's the problem with any, and it's something we need to do better as a board, is we're not gonna be unanimous on every decision.
Right.
And this is what Mary's talking about. We try to sit there and punch each other in the nose until we get somebody to agree.
Right.
We might as well just come to an agreement, and whatever we get to a 4-2, it should be happy that, and we should be happy that it's not a 6-0 all the time.
Mhm.
That means the board is working, the
Yeah.
majority is ruling. That's,
Yeah, on this one, I think we ought to have our vote and we can discuss it in the open board meeting. And then have a roll call vote, so all the taxpayers know who's who and what's what. Get it done.
John, I would suggest that you write in the board briefing before the next meeting that you're not supposed to discuss this letter, and I didn't get that part out of it, so.
You didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, but that's why you don't never save it for here.
There's no harm in it. It's done, it's over.
Well,
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
harm, no foul, Randy, really.
I mean, everybody should read it before they get there, and, maybe you gotta repost it even, or
Does
whatever.
everybody have that letter?
I'll send
Well,
it
I
out.
don't
to 'em.
anymore, you've got my copy.
And you should have it in your folder, because I carefully went through
I
every
have,
folder and put it
I
in.
have it, but.
It's been past practice, Mary. I have.
So you don't get it back.
Now you're picking on a disabled woman, so we'll see what happens now.
Oh,
Yeah.
vulnerable adults.
I'll get it for you.
That's
later.
vulnerable.
I have a feeling we just broke our own policy.
I think you might have, yes, but it's okay. We'll get over it.
Okay, so we have nothing else to discuss then today?
What's our committee recommendation? in the report on this one?
Just what you have there.
Well, I think we go 2-1 on this right now so it'd be recommended that you have the, what did you say? What was your verbiage?
There's no exception.
No
Everybody
exception.
that outside the district, this opens it up, and that's what brought this forward.
Mhm.
This opens it up as a request that we had, that people from outside the district could come in and join. And it takes care of the people that are property owners and pay taxes into the school district. So they can join at a regular rate of $10 per month, which is $120 a year. And those are the people that are using the facilities, they're paying for the maintenance of it, and that's approximately what.
We don't
maintenance
have to
is.
define that, do we? That, I mean,
All
you're
we
paying
should
rent in
do-
the district, you're in the district, if you're, you know, you have land, but you don't live in the district, you're paying tax, I mean, that,
Well, it's whatever.
That's where it gets
driver's
kinda funny,
license
you know.
those places, That's your.
Yeah, is there, if we said, residents of the district, and we're not talking about a PO box that got rented for $8 a month or something. We're talking about, you
Living.
live here, you pay taxes here. And non-residents.
how about let's declare it, let's go with residents and taxpayers, and then non-residents.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, most people are either gonna be a resident or a non-resident,
Yeah.
there's,
Well, call
there's
it
a-
property taxpayers though, because everybody's a taxpayer.
oh, okay, yeah, property taxpayer, there you go, that's gonna define it down, because otherwise you guys are gonna be having, well, yeah, but I was at Bill's and I paid sales tax there. See, here's my receipt, I got a pop for $29.
So residents and taxpayers
That's it.
of
Property
the
tax
district.
You know, where it gets iffy
That
is if,
covers everybody.
you know,
Well, like we've got
Oh.
farmland in Two Rivers Township
Right.
and in the city of Bowles,
Well,
all right?
when you get
But
all,
our place of residence is the city of Bowles.
is your area in Bolus, is it as patchy for the school district as it is out in
Yeah,
my
it
area?
goes like,
Yeah, the whole
Do you have islands out there
Yeah.
too?
because we paid the school district taxes for that property to Upsala, and then we pay it to,
See, I think that
But
goes
we get
back
it
to
by law.
1972, is when
Okay.
it does.
So our committee recommendation to the board is
Yeah,
gonna
I think in
be
1972, they changed the
What?
property taxes.
So it's
where
gonna
it was
be
a local
this
levy.
schedule,
So wherever that
Without
land was assigned in
exception,
1972.
that anybody that is a
where the property
resident
taxes go to the school district.
and a property
That's why it's as
taxpayer
patchy as it is.
gets it at the residence fee. Non-residents, it's the non-resident fee, and it just covers everyone.
and you're not gonna get, necessarily that crisscross that often.
No.
No, you're not. And
Okay, but are you guys on board with that or?
Yeah, I'm fine with it, because I pay double no matter what, I mean, that's just how it is, and you can live with it,
All right, then,
all right. Does that get us done?
I would like to make mention though, when we do present this, that we should say something about that this has been presented by Ted Hanson, the activities director, so that people know that these people are doing their jobs, I mean, it's not because we're so smart, it's because they know what they're doing too, and I kind of think we should give a little more credit to
Yeah,
people that are doing that work.
it was initially brought to our attention by the administration that we weren't making it with our fee
Right.
structure that we had.
Correct.
So we need to acknowledge that, so that people know that these folks, are doing a lot, and we just don't get to acknowledge that as often as we probably should. You too, Don, sorry, but.
You know she does a heck of a lot.
No, I know, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is this is a lot of work, and every time we make changes, it creates another hole.
I need to use this week on finance.
Status quo, that's what I'm getting from MD. And
There are 2 bills out there.
yeah, I don't think that's gonna change, that's not gonna impact public sector very much.
Yeah, I'm gonna make I've been thinking about the financial reports. I don't know about everybody else. It's difficult for me to tell what's going on by looking at them.
That's why we need meetings so I can explain them.
Yeah, I think a simplified version of how much did community ed bring in, how much did we spend on it, how much did sports bring in, how much did we spend? How much
That's
did
it,
Education bring in. how much
can't
did we
do that,
spend on
though, not like that. It's general fund, community ed fund, and it's not broken down the way you think it's broken down. I just think.
The other thing too is, no, we used to get the whole darn business thing, end of it, I mean, it
Yeah.
was a pack of paper this.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking simplified, however it's broken
It's
down.
pretty
I
hard
did-
to do.
That one report was really simple, it was our fund balance, it was our
Yeah,
general
that-
revenue, general expenses, and where expected fund balance would be.
Yeah.
That first report, that's basically, and the other stuff is just,
Gen Ed, but since they put all that other stuff on the board, like, community ed and
that's on,
activities.
that's
and
down
stuff,
below, yeah,
That's
that's
below,
all
yeah,
there.
for sure.
how much do we bring in, how much do we
Yep.
spend?
What,
Remember, this is budget, because I can't give you that to the year end, I don't know what the total is gonna be of
You
expenditures
don't have
until
like a
June.
monthly, how much you brought in this month, how much you spent?
Well, yeah, I do, that's on there. That's, oh, and I
So we
said
used-
that was
yeah,
on
we
the other page where it said, oh, I gotta explain those reports, because I can see where you're confused.
Yeah.
Because I do have that on a different report, it says percentage of year to date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I can get. Okay, that's not part of this meeting though. That's
so
something
I have
that
one
we can-
question that's not part of this meeting either. Have they decided what they're gonna do about graduation now?
Yeah. Oh, you want to hear it too?
What?
We're still on.
No. But
Actually, that's something I have to present at our meeting, but let me finish this off first. We're done officially.
I could do that.
Mary Platt used to just print the whole darn thing out
Yeah.
once a month.